Hi, my name is Harrison Bosch, and this is Junie Patisa. Junie, say hi.
Hello.
I'll say hello in Japanese.
Konnichiwa.
He knows Japanese, and I'm talking about Japanese art. So, this is my podcast for art history, and let's get started. Japanese art is its own kind of art. There's not many other art forms like it. You know, I think when most people hear Japanese art, they probably think of like anime and like those weird commercials they have, but there's so much more to Japanese art. And so let's get into that. So Japan was its own little like island that was like secluded from everyone else in the world for like the longest time. And they had a little bit of influence from like China and Korea, but other than that, they had their own art movements. They weren't influenced by anyone else except for themselves. Want to say anything, Junie?
I agree.
He agrees. And I'm talking about like old, ancient Japanese art. And Junie just went to Japan this summer, and he went to Kyoto?
Kyoto and Osaka, yes.
Yes. And so you saw the like ancient monuments.
Yeah, like shrines and old buildings, of course.
But you noticed how like all of those buildings were like in nature, like they were built around nature.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say I saw that more so with Kinkakuji, like the trees all around and the river, or like the pond that not necessarily a moat, but that what was surrounding it too.
It's cool you talk about this because Monet has a piece called Water Lilies and a Japanese bridge over a pond. Now, do you know who Monet is? You've heard the name, right?
Yes.
Yes. He's not from Japan, but he has this Japanese style. The whole nature being involved, and then man worked around it. Yes. So, how did we get here? That's my question. Do you know how?
No. So please explain.
I'll tell you. Trade. With trade routes, Japanese art was brought over to Europe, and it was revolutionary.
The kanji is really interesting because this kanji, this one's like means like submerged, or like to be like not necessarily drowning, but to be like floating on water. This means world, or like as a whole, and this is painting.
So for everyone who doesn't speak Japanese, those are like the little symbols they have on pictures. And I think what Junie just said is pretty interesting because the piece we're looking at right now, you can't see this, but the Ukiyo-e piece we're looking at right now has multiple of like those symbols, and it has water and trees. What do you know what those say?
It seems to be a name, but I can't really read it.
It's okay. No, I just want to put a lot of emphasis on how nature really inspired this. And so at the end of the 19th century, when, you know, ukiyo-e started becoming a major influence on, like, the whole Impressionist movement, in Europe, where am I even going with this? And I don't know. It just has a big influence on it. And so whenever you look at like Ukiyo-e, right? Like look at the Starry Night or look at water lilies or the coiffure. So when you look at the coiffure, right? It's like that. Like it has that whole wood block with like soft brushes to it. And it's very bright, like most Japanese art at the time. And it also focuses on a different kind of nature. Because when you look in the back on the like wallpaper or when you look on the ground, it almost looks like trees and trees with leaves and stuff. And while that's not the main focus, wait, bring that back. That was pretty good too. While it's not the main focus, and the main focus is just a woman during like her free time, just tying her hair back, it still has like that kind of like secret meaning to it. Like it's not secret, but like it's in the background. It's important, but it's not the first thing your eye sees. And another Cassatt, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it Cassatt. Cassatt is a woman French painter, and she painted women, just doing their own thing, and they're not sexualized, they're not prostitute.
You should compare to what male artists were doing at the time, how they depicted.
Like, as we talked in class, all women at the time were sexualized, and this was when the whole idea of women having more beauty than just their like breasts and them naked. There's more to them. And so another Cassatt painting made the same year the coiffure was made was woman bathing. And now this looks like the same woman in both pictures, or not pictures, paintings. There's still there's probably more Japanese influence to it. While she has on no shirt and just a long dress on, a long skirt, the ground still has that whole nature vibe aspect to it. And I think what is really cool about this is they have a vase, a very Japanese vase with what seems to be a tree or some kind of plant on it. Got anything to say, Junie? Did you see vases like this in Japan?
The design, certainly. The design.
Yeah. That's
with
good.
Again, like with what you're saying with the nature and us being in nature.
Yeah. So, I think the biggest sign of, ukiyo art is Van Gogh's Starry Night. And I don't think many people would realize that. So, made at the same time of Cassatt's two pieces we just talked about, Impressionism, Post-Impressionism time, we have this piece, which everyone's seen. But I don't think a lot of people realize that Van Gogh was really inspired by it. And so, Starry Night wasn't like, a wood block like Cassatt. It was oil painting. But when you look at it, that's when you see the Japanese influence, because it's very vivid colors in the brush strokes and like the asymmetry in the flat space. There's no 3D to it. You can see that it's flat, and nature's huge. There's on like the bottom right, you see civilization and people and the way they've affected nature, but there's still more influence on this mountain and this starry night and this huge moon that takes up probably 1/8 of the night sky. And, Van Gogh also would draw with a reed pen, which is another very Japanese tool. So a reed pen, they're made out of bamboo, and it's basically just a pencil, but the strokes and the way it draws is more Japanese. Is this what Japanese people used to write, like when they write their like language and symbols and stuff? Do you know, Junie? No.
No.
They just use pens.
Oh, for calligraphy?
Calligraphy. That's
Calligraphy.
the word.
I think they use a brush. At least nowadays, in schools and everything, in middle schools and in high schools. Well, public school, of course. They use brushes, because I know, at least in middle school or in elementary school, they have calligraphy classes, but I'm not sure if they use reed pens.
Yeah. Goldfish time. This is way more than 10 minutes, and I mean, we're not gonna get in trouble or get points taken away, but I could keep talking about this, but I think we should just cut it off there. So this is Harrison Bosch and Junie Batista. Say bye, Junie.
Bye.
Now say it in Japanese.
Sayonara. Sayonara.
Okay, well, I didn't realize everyone would know konnichiwa and sayonara. Say goodbye.
Goodbye? That's like literally like the same thing. There's other like ways of saying goodbye. Like
Okay, I'm cutting it off here.
Yeah,
Bye.
Bye.